Ang screen, guys. Akong gipakita.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let us start. This will just be very quick. It's just an aid, no, on your week 1 courseware. So to remind everyone, we will always have our synchronous meeting every Wednesday. So every Wednesday is our synchronous meeting, and then on every Friday will be your I think was it Friday or Monday ang inyong quiz. But for week 1, I will not be giving a quiz. Instead, I will be giving a summary report, which was also included in your courseware, no? Here, sa last part, wherein you have to summarize the important topics under operations research. And then after that is you list all the important terms and then their brief meaning. Para pod you'll recall every time you write it down or you type it. Okay? And for letter C, create the linear programming model, and again, do not solve yet. All right? It will be solved in the next sessions. So for now, create only the linear programming model. So more likely I will verify if which is the more kanang, how do you say that, mas kuan ba siya nga time for the quiz ang Monday or ang Friday, because Friday is too soon. So more likely Monday, no, para na pa may time to do the other activities. Okay, so let's start with okay, manataan yung introduction. So I'm expecting that you have read this one earlier. So these are the concepts lang of operations research. But basically operations research in IE we have two. One which will be handled by me, and two which will be handled either by Ma'am Erlene or Sir Kian or Sir Alan. But usually before it's handled by Sir Alan. Okay? So OR is one of the major subjects of industrial engineering because this is something that not other engineering programs have, which is about decision making through quantitative solutions, no? Because our solutions is based on whatever will come out of the result, uh, which are quantitative. Okay, so usually it started in England during the Second World War. So actually all of the concepts in IE started during the World Wars, no? Katong 1 and 2. And a team of British scientists set out to make decisions regarding the best utilization of war material. Therefore, OR became, or OR happened. Okay? So those are just readables, no? Now, literally, what is OR? So we separate the two words, operations and research. Operation meaning your day-to-day activities in a business, no? Like for example, your from the start up to the end of the shift, that's your operation. That's production time. That's service time in a day. Well, research is basically looking for something new, no? You are looking um, for an answer to a problem or a question that you wanted to be solved. That's why when you combine it, it's basically quantitative common sense, meaning to say you wanted to know something more about your day-to-day operations. So it will help you decide quantitatively because naman yung mga decisions, no? We have decisions that require kanang qualitative, no, or initiative based lang na decision making. However, when it comes to involving large amount of money or for example costly na gid kaayo siya, dili na effective if it's purely qualitative. All right, that's why quantitative tools are here. In OR, we will be discussing 4 major tools. The first part will be linear programming using graphical and simplex, and the duality theory and sensitivity analysis. That is for the first two, meaning to say in the midterm phase. And then for the final phase, we will be discussing transportation model and assignment model, which are also, again, linear programming models, but specialized na sila. Okay, so there are a lot of definitions here, and I think in your first questions summary report is which of this fit or you feel that is suited for what is operations research really is. So that I need your explanation for that, no? So now, what is the scope of operations research? So OR is useful to production specialists, especially if you want to locate the best site for your new business or for your expanded location, no? For the expansion or for a warehouse that you are looking for. It also helps you determine the number and the size that the warehouse should be, the new business should be, the new store should be. Scheduling, very important, and sequencing the production runs by proper allocation of machines, which is somehow related to engineering management discussion on CPM or critical path method as well. That is actually operations research. And calculating the optimum product mix, which is through linear programming. Also, OR is very useful in marketing, no? Because it helps us how to buy, how often to buy, and when to buy. So somehow statistics also is involved in this matter in a way that it will give us the minimum possible cost. Another one is distribution points to sell the products and the choice of the customer. So still about location, minimum per unit sale price, and the customer's preference based on size, color, packaging, and a lot more. So that can also be computed quantitatively, even though they are qualitative or attributes in nature. Okay? So there are a lot more of usage to operations research. Now, for this session, I'm going to emphasize more on how to really formulate the problem. Okay, that's the first introduction to operations research, the formulation of the problem. Because if your problem is not correctly translated into the model, eventually your answers are wrong. If you pass already advanced mathematics, this is already quite new, not new to you because you've heard this one already from advanced math. But I believe that in advanced mathematics for IE, it's just focused on the generation of the model and the graphical method. But as for the simplex and the big M method and the rest of the tools, it will be discussed here in operations research. Now, again, the first phase of operations research is formulation of the problem. So again, if sayop ang pagka-translate into linear programming problem, then your solution will always be wrong. No? Mashock na lang ko if makorek na siya, that means nangopya. Okay? And that's not correct. Okay? Also, if you want this to be solved in a software perhaps, like QM software, or in Excel, if wrong gihapon ang imong formulation sa linear programming model, then the results that Excel will show is still wrong. Okay? So it's not because mo ay nigawa sa Excel, then sakto imong answer. It just means that the Excel file or the Excel or MS Excel will just follow whatever you place them in the in the iterative process. So mo follow gina siya what you have inputted. So the goal here is to really know how to formulate the problem. Now, how do we construct the mathematical model? That's the second phase. Okay? So these are the terms that you have to be familiar for the rest of the semester or cluster. We have your decision variables or your options. Okay? Your parameters as well. Either you use X or Y. Alright? And then your constraints or restrictions, meaning to say the limitations of the model. Because of course, in production, it's not always perfect. It's not 24 hours we're given time to produce. It's not all the time that materials are available. So there will always be limitations or restrictions based on real life or actual data as well, no, or actual scenarios. And then your objective function, meaning to say this is really what you wanted to solve, no? The objective function. What's the goal of your model? And the third phase is now deriving the solution from the model. Okay? And then after that, you test the model if it's correct. And then after testing, you control the solution. So if you found out that solution is not really that attractive or realistic, then you might have to change some parts of your limitations or your solutions. So it's not all the time that you will just follow whatever is provided in the Excel. It will just be a guide, no? Again, for decision making. And implement the solution. So the first week is still only about mathematical formulation lang sagyud of linear programming problem. Okay? So these are the terms. Linear. Why is it linear? Because our solutions, again we are turning English actual business problems into mathematical problems or models. That's why we will be involving a lot of constants and variables in this one. So we have linear, and then we have the linear, which means that the variables x, y, or whatever you use will just be in the power of 1 because direct ra iyang relationship sa left side and the right side sa imong model. Okay, so it will not have values x squared, y squared, wala na siya because it's not binomial and the rest. It's just linear. Okay, programming, because if we're going to really look into Excel on how it is being solved, it's really via iterative process nga gi-program gid siya. Okay? However, in manual solutions, programming means like is more siya ga-process, no? Gi-process siya into solving math, relating it to the real world problems. So giprogram nimo in a sense nga either mo maximize ba siya sa results or mo minimize siya sa results. So you will understand later nga no maximize and minimize, no? The goal of an IE is to always either maximize the profit of the company or minimize its cost in order to maximize its profit. Diba? So there are a lot of ways to do that. But mo gid ang main two goal as an IE. You maximize the profit or you minimize the cost. Alright? And in programming means you translate them into a process of solving in an iterative process. Okay? Then, the decision variables, meaning to say your options, imong mga gipilian. Alright? So like for example, let's say, not necessarily gipilian but more on gipangita, no, in the problem. Gipangita nimo siya in your solutions. Like for example, you want to determine how many tables and how many chairs, then the x there represents the number of tables, while the y there represents the number of chairs. So inana siya. Alright, so these are your decision variables, no, that help you decide whether how much to produce or how much not to produce. Objective function, basically this is your goal. Mo to akong gimension, is it maximization or minimization? I-maximize mo ang profit or i-minimize mo ang cost. Alright? And then constraints again, limits. So it's either in the number of hours of production or in the number of people that are available or the amount of money that is allowable to be spent for that type of budget. So it depends, no? Daghan kaayo constraints, especially if we talk about actual real life problems. And then alternative courses of action, these are the mahog siyang options, no? But more likely dili kay ni siya makita, no? It's not very visible in an LP model. Okay? Non-negativity restriction, this means that our solutions will not be negative. Di mo sa tamaingon no nga please produce two negative kuan, no? Di ba sa tamo ingon ana, let's produce negative 2 ka products. Wala may negative 2 nga products, no? Utangan pa ka. So that will not be kuan, that will not be possible. Okay? Linearity and divisibility, those are one of the solutions after you're solving. Deterministic, meaning to say, we will really have to have a solution at the end of the solving, no, solution. Okay? Sige. So, now, let's not go through all these steps, no? Kay medyo maglibog rata and then it will not make us too much, to understand it right away. Let's have this one, okay? I'll not let you show the solution first. Aris ito sa problem. A milk plant manufactures two types of products, A and B. So, here, what is your, okay, I want you to kanang unmute yourselves. Tell me what are the decision variables in this problem. Okay, let's read it first. A milk plant manufactures two types of products, A and B, and sells them at a profit of 5 pesos on type A and 3 pesos on type B. Each product is processed on two machines, G and H. Type A requires 1 minute of processing time on G and 2 minutes on H, while type B requires 1 minute on G and 1 minute on H. The machine G is available for not more than 6 hours, 40 minutes, while machine B is available for 8 hours and 20 minutes during any workday. Formulate the problem as LP problem. Sige daw, be. I'll show an Excel file. Parang dito na kayo suwat. Okay, I'll stop sharing for a while. How do I stop share this one? Okay. Can I screen? Okay. Can you see my entire screen, guys?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sige. So, what's the first step in doing an LP model? So, una sa tanan, you have to choose your decision variables. Mama na yung mga i-choose from later. So, in this case, can you, is it too small? Akong tadakan naman. So, the first step is your decision variables. Now, what are your decision variables? Sige, unmute yourselves so that I cannot see your chats.
A and product.
Okay, very good. Who was that? Product A and product. Ha?
Product A and product B.
Okay, so unsa man ang variable nga atong i-use nila, A and B na lang, no? Since kung ano man gini sila, no? These are already decision variables. Now, you do not say product A and product B only. Dapat naa siya'y quantity. Kay kung moingon ra ta og product A and product B, it solely means that it is an attribute, no? Dili siya quantitative. So, kailangan quantitative siya. So, ang goal nato, no, is that maka-find the kung pila gid ang i-produce nga A and B. Therefore, we change that into number of units of product A. Maka-gets ra, guys? And number of units of product B. So, inana siya. Okay? Instead of solely product A and product B. Now, your next step is your objective function. Now, unsay goal ani nga problem? Sige daw. Based on that. Isa din na natin ipakita. What's the goal of this problem? Kani. Is it maximization or minimization?
Maximization.
Sige, why do you think nga maximization iyang goal? Ano man? Because ang gipanghatag kay profit, correct? You don't minimize
Yes, ma'am.
profit, no? Malkansi ta nagbang minimize tag profit. So therefore we have another decision di lang siya decision variable but another variable which is z which will represent your profit in PHP kay pesos man na no 5 pesos and 3 pesos. So niingon siya maximize your z equals oops. Meaning kailangan makaibaw ta kung pila to i-produce nga A. So, whatever we will number of units we produce with A times the 5 pesos plus whatever ang i-produce ni B times 3 pesos. Nakagets na guys? Or we can write that as max Z is equal to 5A plus 3B. No? That's your objective function. The goal is makaibaw ta sa maximum profit because in-compute na ni Excel, makaibaw na ta na it will give the maximum profit based on 5 pesos per A and 3 pesos per B. Now, the next step, so again your first step is know your decision variables. Next is your objective function. Choose ka, maximize or minimize, and then the mathematical equation. And the next will be your structural constraints. So, natay two types of constraints. Si structural first, and then si non-negativity. Okay? Sige. What's your first constraint, guys? Pinakauna nga constraint na gi-provide. Based sa problem. Kani? Nagets ra? Nag-mention siya the first concern here is that si type A daw, it will require 1 minute of processing time on machine G and 2 minutes on machine H. Therefore, naay 2 ka limitations ang duha ka machines. Nakagets? So, machine G and machine H. Now, naman tayo 2 types, no? A and B. Ningon siya, for type A, 1 minute ang machine G and 2 minutes ang machine H. Sakto? Are you still following? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then for B, pila man? For B,
1
pila
minute
ang...
for B and 1 minute for H.
So, 1 minute sa G and 1 minute also for H. Now, the next nga nyo i-create is the symbol. Now, what is the proper symbol? Less than, greater than, equal to, less than or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to? Which is the most appropriate?
Less than or equal to.
Less than and equal to, correct. Nga naman, kay again, you should not go beyond the available time of G and H, kay moro man ilahang kaya. That's why they're called constraints. Nakasabot. So therefore, but it's not all the time na it's less than or equal to, it depends. Manganong na may equal to? Because okay raman siya mo equal. Ang dili ragyod is mo lapas. Okay? Sige. Now, what is the kanang target, no? Dili na pwede mo maximize sa machine G. Machine G is 6 hours and 40 minutes. Now, question, should we translate them into minutes or hours? Which do you think is correct?
Minutes, ma'am.
Minutes. Nga nung minutes man?
Kay para murag mas ano siya, Murag mas direct og mas sayon ata.
Okay. I think I got your point. Pwede na gid gyapon siya hours. However, if we will translate 1 minute into hour, so imagine 1 divided by 60, di ba? Murag almost zero, no? Di na kayo na to ma-appreciate ang number. Right? So, mas maayo nga, we will just translate that into minutes. So 6 hours is 6 times 60 plus 40 minutes. Therefore, you're given 400 minutes for machine G. Okay? For machine H, it's... Oh, machine B na nakabutan. It should be machine H. Machine H is what? 8 hours and 20 minutes. 8 hours and 20 minutes. That's 500. Okay, so you're now ready to translate that into mathematical models. So again, when you make lang a table from it, guide lang yun siya for making the structural constraints. But still, the constraints are for machine G, that's A plus B. So 1A plus 1B less than or equal to 400. Nakagets ra, guys? For machine, ganun wala na yung 1, ma'am. Obvious naman ano, kung 1 ang coefficient, dili na needed i-butang. So, 2A plus B less than or equal to 500. Okay, and don't forget your non-negativity constraint. Your non-negativity constraint is that kailangan si A ug si B should not be greater than or equal, should not be less than or equal to 0. Therefore, A and B should be greater than or equal to 0. Dapat mulapas gid siya para positive ra iyahang answer. So, to summarize, unsa gid ay noun sa LP model, ma'am? So, inaani ang noun sa LP model, no? Don't forget your let, okay? This is now what we call the linear programming model. So you let A as the number of units for product A, and then B for a number of units for product B, and then Z is the profit in PHP. And then your objective function is this one. Okay, and then your structural constraints should be this two. Okay, and your non-negativity constraints should also be included. So therefore, mo ni porma sa inyong LP model. So once this is correctly done, then your solution is also correct. So dito na pud ka magka-problema no kay basin sayo na pud imuhang solution. Okay, but this is your LP model. So kanira, mao ra gid ni ang gipangita, no? Mao ra gid ni ang gipangita. This is the LP model. The rest are just used as a guide for you para ma-correct ang imong pag-create sa statements. Okay? So don't worry, I'll be including this week 1 discussion backup. I will be posting this in your Moodle account as well. Hopefully you are in Moodle already. Ano pa mo sa Moodle?
Wala kami, miss.
Sige. But kuha na tamuhan na-enroll na ako ang uban. Okay, so let's see if correct ang ato ang solution. Okay, so mo nang nakabutang diri guys is mo ra gid ni ang gipangita, no? This is your LP model. That's X1 is number of products of type A or X2 is number of products of type B. It depends on you if you choose A, B, or X1, X2, or X and Y. It's up to you. So long as correct ang pagka-use. So that is now your LP model. Mo ra gid na ang gipangita. Okay? Let's try the second one for the last time for today's meeting. And then the rest is kamo na ang mo iwas, no? Napadite other one, which is minimize cost. And then after that, kay kamo na ang mohimo ani on your own to be submitted on Sunday. Sige. So, let's try this problem, number 2. A dairy plant packs 2 types of milk in pouches vis. Ano nang vis? Full cream and single toned. There are sufficient ingredients to make 20,000 pouches of full cream and 40,000 pouches of single tone. So, naa sila ingredients enough for 20,000 pouches and 40,000 pouches. But there are only 45,000 pouches into which either of the products can be put. Hala, medyo complicated na siya, no? Further, it takes 3 hours to prepare enough material to fill 1,000 pouches of full cream milk and 1 hour for 1,000 pouches of single-toned milk. And there are 66 hours available for this operation. Profit, so profit again, is 8 per pouch for full cream milk and 7 per pouch for single-toned milk. Formulate its linear programming model. Okay, sige. So let's, oops. Did I copy? Wait lang, sig type. Okay. Okay. What's your decision variables, guys? Profit gapon, no? What's your decision variable? It should be the 2 types of milk, which is full cream and single tone.
Single tone.
At pouches, no? So, number of pouches of full cream milk for, let's just consider this as your X, and your Y is number of pouches of single tone milk. Gusto mo yung mga single tone, no? Kabawaan. Okay, for your objective function, is it maximize gihapon? Yes, no?
Yes.
Now, how much is the profit for the full cream? It's 8, no? O 8x plus 7y. Is it correct? Okay, now, ay na to sa constraints. Now, for the constraints, what's the first constraint? Ingon siya, there are sufficient ingredients to make 20,000 pouches of full cream. So, meaning, for full cream alone nga ingredients, ila ka buok. Full cream ano? So, X and then Y. For full cream alone, pila? That's 40,000. Ay, 20,000 eh. 20,000.
20,000.
For single tone, single
40.
in ingredients also, so sa Y na ta, 40,000. Pero yung giingon kay, kailangan 45,000 pouches lang either of the products ang ibutang. So, mean to say, requirement lang, no? Murag ko si term na to, ani. Kanang available na pouch na lang siguro. So, available na pouch kay 45,000 ra. So, either sa duha, dapat 45,000 ra. Dili pwede mo lapas. Okay, and then, it takes 3 hours to prepare enough to fill 1,000 pouches of full cream and 1 hour for 1,000 pouches, 66 hours. Okay, so meaning, 1 hour per 1,000 pouches. Sakto ba? Oh, 3 hours di ay. 3 hours per 1,000 pouches. Ang Y, 1 hour
1 per
per
1,000.
1,000 pouches. And then ang available kay 66 hours. No? 66 hours available for this operation. Okay. So this is based on available preparation time siya, preparation time. Alright? Sige. Let's translate this into mathematical problems. But before that, let's identify first what's the best symbol. For the first one, unsay correct na symbol. Mao daw ang available na pouch. So is it less than or greater than? Sige. Less than, greater than. Do you think? Oh, wala
Less
kita.
than or equal to. I joke.
Ha? Sige lang, it's okay. Don't worry. We will, munang naataron, no, to learn. Hala, ang number 1, di ako na-edit. Sige na lang. Sige. Greater than or less than? Are you still there? Or naminaw pa ba mo? Ayo.
Yes, miss.
Asa mga uban? Yan ang hilo man kaayo. Do you think? Less than or...
Less than or equal to. Joke, Roberta.
Okay, less than. Nga naman. Kaya mo ra may available.
Oo.
We should not be beyond 20,000. Same goes with the singleton. No? And the same with the available pouches. Available gani, mean to say, mauray available nga i-provide. Okay. Now, for the preparation time, the same gihapon, right? Maura man sad ang available. Sige. Let's now make the, okay, and then a non-negativity constraint is still x and y. Greater than or equal to 0.
Greater than or equal to 0.
Okay. For the linear programming model, so you will just copy this one. Now for the objective function, no, correct na niya itong objective function. And then for the structural constraints, upat siya kabuok. Okay? Add pa 4. Sige. How do we do with the first constraint? Sige, ana ko. Constraint 1. For the full cream, that's x less than or equal to 20,000. Are you still following?
Yes,
C2,
ma'am.
y is greater, less than or equal to 40,000.
40,000.
Then for constraint 3, that's x plus y
Less than or equal to
less than or equal to 45.
45,000.
And then for the C4, now here, kay 3 hours per 1,000 lang siya, no niya. Di mo po pwede mo ingon nga 66 hours divided by 1,000. Although pwede ra po, no, para mo equate ra siya. But 66 divided by 1,000, mo siyang 0.006. Di siya mo pariha. So therefore, 3x over 1,000 plus
X2 over 1,000.
1,000
Y
less than or equal to
Y.
66 hours. Okay? So that's your constraint. Questions?
Wait, miss.
Mamugod sa tiyan nga, it takes 66 hours available for the 1,000. Wala man pod. Okay, so yaha is gitagaan kaniyang kuan nga in 3 hours 1,000 kabuk ang ma-produce. Ano siya? Okay? Sige. So yung gibuhat dire is kuha niya ang common denominator ni 1,000, which is 1,000. Same niya ang denominator, gi-multiply niya to the other side, which is 66,000. Which is also important, especially if mag-solve na ta. But for now, as mathematical model, pwede ra ni siya. Okay? So this is now your linear programming model. Questions so far? Last, minimization na pud ta. Now, for the minimization, okay, naungot lagi na akong nauliha. So, okay, copy. Sige, let's have this one. Consider two different types of foodstuffs, no? Say F1 and F2. Assume that these foodstuffs contain vitamin A and vitamin B. Minimum daily requirements for vitamin A are 40 milligrams and 50 milligrams respectively for A and B. Suppose foodstuff F1 contains 2 milligrams of vitamin A and 5 milligrams of vitamin B, while F2 contains 4 milligrams of vitamin A and 2 milligrams of vitamin B. Cost per unit of F1 is 3 pesos and that of F2 is 2.5 pesos. Formulate the minimum cost diet that would supply the body at least the minimum requirements for each vitamin. So, klaro na kayo, no? Minimum cost diet. Minimum requirements. So, it's really minimization. Sige. So, let's make the LP model for that. So, first question is, what is your decision variable in this case? Obvious kayo, no? It's F1 and F2. Now, how do you describe F1? So, number of foodstuffs. Not stuffs na word, no? Stuffs for type 1. Okay? The number of foodstuffs for type 2. May F1 and F2. Then, Z now becomes cost in PHP. Kay minimization naman ta. Now, what's your objective function, guys? Minimize Z na siya. Okay? And then, unsa man ang i-minimum nato nga cost? 3 pesos C, F1, plus 2.5 pesos C,
2.5.
F2. Are you still following?
Yes,
Nakasabay ra?
Yes, ma'am.
F1, F2. Okay. Now, let's go to the constraints. Unsa may constraints niya for the first one? Minimum daily requirements. Okay, so meaning this is for vitamin vitamin A, and vitamin
B.
B. Minimum daily requirements. So meaning to say, kailangan na kay 40 milligrams of A and
50
50 milligrams of B.
B.
Kunya si F1 daw, 2 ang
2.
A, 5 ang B, correct?
Yes, miss.
And then si F2 kay
4
4C,
ang A,
A, 2 ang
2 ang B.
B. Alright. Symbol, less than or greater than?
Greater than.
Sige, nga nung greater than, ma'am?
Kay okay raman siya mula pa sa 40 and 50 nga minimum requirements.
Correct, no? Because, again, gingon diri is minimum daily requirement. So, maura ang gina-require, but mas maayo mas daghan. So, therefore, your symbol should be greater than or equal to. So, equal or sobra. Alright? However, ang goal lang pud ni nag-produce ani, no? Dili lang pud pasubraan kay mahal na unya kaayo. Okay, that's why nangita siya sa minimum cost diet na ma-meet ra gihapon ang minimum requirement sa vitamin. Okay. So, we're ready now to make the LP model. So for your LP model then, so this is your decision variables, your objective function, and then you have only two constraints. So what's your constraint 1? That's 2f1 plus 4f2 greater than or equal to 40 grams. Correct. 5f1 plus 2f2 greater than or equal to
50.
and then don't forget the non-negativity constraint, which is f1 and f2 should be greater than or equal to 0. All right. Question so far. Sayonara, di ba? So long as you know how to translate the statements, the English statements into mathematical models. So this is your week 1. Nakay problem diri. I think correct atong answer, no? Yes, it's correct. Gi-use na ko si x1 and x2, but still it's up to you which one do you think would you like. Okay, there's a video also provided. And then you have to make the LP model. Again, do not solve yet for the two problems. So this one is maximization. So klaro kayo, no? And the other one is minimization. Okay? Since Moodle is up already, optional na lang ang pag-submit here. All your solutions, all your answers should be in Moodle. Alright? Deadline is this Sunday. So, more likely, Monday siguro ang best na quiz, no? And then, as for the quiz, terms lang sa siya. So, siguro, depende, no? I will still be making the quiz. Terms lang yun siya, like what are decision variables. So, na multiple choices, na po'y problem solving, depende. Okay? And that will be open only during our class time, which is 12:30 to 2:30. Okay, questions so far, guys? Do you have clarifications? Sige na, before we end.
Ma'am Che, for us, miss, nga wala pa sa Moodle, kay ato lang yapon mag-submit sa katong link.
Yes, sa katong portal lang sa. Pero I think daily na kay Moodle, i-try og open.
So,
Okay,
na, miss.
once that you have MS Teams, kay mao man ang gamiton for Moodle enrollment pod. Go to layer.edu. Kalimot mo po.
Layer.edu.
I-aslan niya yung mga classmates. Oh, yes. Kana. Okay, so let's have our picture. Attendance. Kamo na gyud ang present today. Turn on your camera, guys. Sa maning uban absent man. Ako ra lagi present. Asa man ang uban? Agara. So again this is every Wednesday. So for next meeting, our discussion will be solving na. No? Saan pag-solve. Okay? Karon, puro pata creation or formulation of problem. Okay? So hinay-hinay lang ta, hinay-hinay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 palagi ang nagpakita. Where are the others? Kenneth? Pamani? Nadiri. Juna? Dala des Juna. Angelo, ananas Angelo. Sige, kita ra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ra lagi ta. 10 raman ta, no? Sige. 1, 2, 3, smile, guys. Okay, thank you, guys. See you next week again. Don't forget, our exam will be via Moodle. Katong naapay problem sa Moodle, please do tell me so that we can so that I can recall or update the TSG, no? Para dili mo ma-behind, especially sa quiz. Okay? Sige, thank you. If you don't have questions, I will be ending this this class na, and then I'll see you again on Wednesday. Always check your
Thank you, ma'am.
courseware every
Thank you,
Sunday.
ma'am.
Bye, Amping.
Bye,
Bye,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank
Bye,
you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye-bye.